Hey, dear friends, welcome to another show. With this, it's talking about the side hustle, talking about the hustle that it is in media in Web3, and I'm super excited to talk today with my guest. She's been in this space, grinding and working, coming through from a great Web2 success, and coming to the space I think with such great. I don't know. There's a combination here, guys, that I really think is special, which is authenticity, process, and presence, and being present in this space, and being on Twitter Spaces and doing personal concerts, but also delivering the goods. And so we're talking with Violetta Zironi. Welcome, Violetta.
Thank you so much. It's really good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Like I said, you're so active in this space. Did you find that you gravitated towards being that active naturally, or did you find like, oh, I need to be on spaces, I need to be present in these ways?
Um, Really good question. I actually never thought about it. A little bit of both, I suppose.
Mm.
Whenever I started, I knew that you don't get anywhere without hard work. And I thought the amount of opportunity that there was for me or anybody like me really in the space was just unseen before. Like, I've never seen that amount of opportunity, especially because it doesn't really, like, when I started, I didn't have any money to invest, in a team or anything like that, or marketing. It was all on me. And so I was like, I have to put in the hour. You don't have the money, you got to put in the hour, the
That's what
time,
this show is about. This show is
you
about
know?
the hard work and the grind, but it's the passion that drives that. And I think it's clear that you've come from an artistic background. I think I've read that your father was an animator for Disney. How is it that you became involved in music, and found your passion in music?
Yeah, very early on. I think I've always leaned towards music. I think just that's kind of what I'm attracted to naturally. I grew up, in a family where music was very much loved and consumed. My dad, yes, he still is a Disney illustrator, but also kind of part-time musician in a way, in a sense that he loves music, plays instruments, has played in bands, and my mom also really loves music. And when I was a little girl, they just noticed that I could maybe one day in the future I could sing because my voice was decent. So they gently and also forcefully sometimes push me in that direction. You
And
know.
if you haven't heard Violetta, please follow her on Twitter. And this is an understatement, the kind of good sounding. Her voice is immaculate. In fact, it brought you to early success, it seems, on X Factor Italy, and certainly signing deals in Web 2. How did you handle that success so early?
Um, I mean, at the start, of course, it was kind of hard to believe, right? Because it was kind of overnight, superficial success, because obviously you go on a TV show with X Factor and you're the star of the season, but then as soon as the new season starts, you're the star of the old season and nobody's looking at you anymore, right? So, yeah, I always tried to keep that in mind. And I mean, it's not like I was Bruce Springsteen or anything, It's kind of nationally, people knew who I was, and I don't know. It just opened a lot of doors for me. I tried to use it, never take it for granted. But it's not like I've been, I don't want people that listen to think that I'm some kind of like superstar or anything. I'm totally not. But let's say that that I jumped into the professional world really early. Yes.
And so you jumped into the professional world, and that's the thing for me. It's like I could grind it out in Web 2. Web 2's, it's tough for me, as a creator, but I can grind it out and I can make it. But when I discovered Web 3, there was something so freeing about it and so liberating about the ease in collaboration and the ease into making something that connected to people. How did you discover Web 3?
It was my mom. She introduced me to NFTs.
This is the first. This is a first. Go moms
Hmm.
introducing their kids to NFTs. Let's go.
Yeah, I know. I know, but she's a really special, very unique mom in that sense. She, and shout out to her if she ever watches this, because she does keep up with me on Twitter, and she comes to my spaces also, so you never know. But she is just an extremely open-minded person. She's not your classic boomer. You know what I mean? She's not at all. She's like completely open-minded, really curious, very up to date. She reads a lot. She knows everything, about everything that's going on. And it was like mid pandemic or tail end of the pandemic, and she realized that I was getting really frustrated because I couldn't do my job anymore because of the lockdowns that were just repeating over and over in Europe. And I told her that I had 6 months left and then I would quit. Like that was the decision that I'd made. And she told me, before you quit, have you ever heard of NFTs? And that was the first time. That was December 2021 when I was at home for Christmas. She told me about this, and she also taught me to never disregard any opportunity because it could always be something. And so I dove in, and here we are.
Super wise, and it sounds like that it took you some time to really immerse yourself into the culture of it before making your own project. I see that Moonshot came out in April. Was there anything before that you kind of played with in terms of creating NFTs?
Totally, yeah. I mean, 2 weeks into me finding Web3, I already dropped first little collection, 5 NFTs
Awesome.
at point one, which, at the time it was like $400 each.
Hmm.
And for me, it's like basically the equivalent of the money that I made on Spotify in the previous 7 years. So, um, yeah, I did that. I did five and then I did 10. So a 15 collection in total. And then I did a one of one music video that I did a Dutch auction for. And it sold for almost 4 ETH.
Ooh, let's go.
Um,
That's
I know. And then we had a secondary sale for that 2 weeks later for 5 ETH. And so I had a little bit of time to like understand all these dynamics and like why, like ask myself, why are these things happening? Like I get it, but like for me that's the value of that, but I've never seen anyone before attributing so much value to a song, you know. But I started to understand, and then in the meantime, I was working on Moonshot already. So
you were kind of contemplating Moonshot. It's a 2,500 PFP collection. What was the inspiration behind it?
it all started from the music. I had those songs written and recorded, and I'd written those songs during the pandemic years between like 2019 and 2021. That's kind of when I've been writing Moonshot, the songs, and picked my favorite 5 songs off of all the songs that I'd been writing. And I went to Nashville, recorded it with the Grammy winning producer, Matt Rawlings. He's Willie Nelson's producer, and my long term co writer, Michael Oakes. We created this record, and I started shopping it around to labels. This is before I found Web3. No labels wanted it because my TikTok numbers and Spotify numbers were bad. And the songs were too old fashioned, in their opinion. Um, and but then when like I found Web3, it was like, hey, listen, like I'm gonna put out Moonshot, and I asked my dad if he wanted to be my artist for it, so he did all these drawings for each song, and then all the different
I love
variations with the
illustration.
layers. Yep. So
So fantastic. Let's take a listen, if you don't mind, to one of the songs here. Let's pick Sugar.
you're my medication when I'm feeling low. You got a reputation, perfect on the go. You play with my emotions, but you go down smooth. Like you don't wanna be myself with you. I need some affection, take me home tonight. We can have sex or talk about our lives. It's almost time for breakfast, here's some fruity loops. I kinda wanna join in with you. We're perfectly in for them, so sweet, but then we all need our little sugar. Be free.
Great songs. I get such a great like I don't know, it's like Jenny Lewis and like all these just really great singer songwriters come to mind as soon as your vocals kick in. Really just fantastic stuff. The community that's built when you do a PFP project, do you feel that you have now responsibilities because it's such a big number project? Do you stick with that community? Do you work to grow it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, ever since day one, I've been hosting spaces every weekday, the same time for a year and a half now, and I've never stopped. And I do these concerts on Friday on Zoom. I'm in the Discord. I keep them updated. We have several group chats, and I do feel a responsibility. I 100% do. Like, they invested in me
Mhm.
and they supported me from the start.
Yep.
And I want to make sure they get their money's worth, a value. Of course, in the long term, my goal would be that the music itself, and the brand and the product is, what they pay for, and that's enough. But I feel like, especially now, because we're 1,400 people in my community, like, it's a lot, for one person to manage, but at the same time, it's not what it can be in the future. And so I definitely want to build this tighter relationship with the OGs, the ones that were here first,
Mhm.
and bring more value beyond just the music to the early works, the early collections, right?
Yep.
Especially with Moonshot, that I had done nothing in Web3. They had no guarantee whatsoever, but they invested in the music and in a vision, right? And so I definitely want to be there for them, and be on the journey with them.
What's the thing is like the music and the value of that is enough. Let me just say that like your value as a musician is enough. The thing that I love additionally about you is that sort of you put in this extra work and this extra time to give this value to your community, to overvalue, give overvalue, more value than is expected for your community, more than most NFTs. Come on, let's be honest. And you're driving that. You're being present in these spaces every single day. Does that affect your output as a creator? Because I see you always just like seemingly just crank out songs and videos at a moment's notice.
Um, to be honest, lately you might have seen some videos, because I've had more time, lately to like actually be creative. But if I'm completely honest, in the first year, I barely wrote a single song. And it's okay. I had plenty of time over the past 10 years to focus on my songwriting, my skills, and it's not like I wasn't getting better, because with all this playing, live performing that I was doing on spaces, I think I actually got better as a musician, just like performing. I just didn't do a lot of songwriting or creating, although I did record an album. I wrote a couple of songs last year. I did record an album in October, but I did
I
it
like
in
how you
5
just
days.
forgot. It was like, oh yeah, I did do that.
I did do that, yes. But like, I did it in a different way than I would have, 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I would have taken a long time to make this record, whereas last year I was like, okay, no, we're being efficient. 5 day, no, not even 2 days I recorded, and we did it analog, so we mixed and mastered on the spot. So it was basically done, and like a couple days of like rehearsals, that's it. So I was just very efficient with it. But in terms of like really exploring creatively, which also means watching movies, reading books, going out, like, I don't know, doing research, studying things, I didn't do much of it. But for me, it's okay, because think of an artist who's a mega superstar, right? They take some time to write their album, they put out their album, and then they tour for a whole year, right? And they do promo. They don't have time to write songs. And then they take another chunk of time to be creative, right? So that's the natural cycle, I think, of an artist.
Exactly. It's a
You know?
process, and great directors call it refilling the tanks in a sense. You
Yeah.
go, you finish the thing, you give birth to this thing into the world, and you go to let it live, and then you take a breath and you step back, and then you feel life around you, and you feel like, well, what is it that I want to say now? And I think it's an important part of the process. So It sounds like, but it's great though that we get to see you go on this process. If you follow Violetta on Twitter, so please go follow her now because she's very just transparent. She's on the spaces. She's talking about the scenarios and the industry at the time. And when you do that, do you end up picking up a lot of collaborators in this way by being so present?
Um, yes and no, as in I could for sure. But I've kind of kept my head down, in the last year and a half. I've just wanted to do me, and I feel like I had a lot to put out, a lot to say, a lot to like just project of me. And only now I'm in the headspace where I feel like I have like put out my personality, my vision enough in the space that I can afford to like explore other avenues. You know what I mean? Like I really wanted to solidify a brand, a product, a community, an artist, and then people know what it is, know where to start, even when she branches out and doing different things. Um, and one way I want to do it right now, actually, because you mentioned, the videos that I put out on Twitter, I'm writing like every week, one or two songs. I'm being very creative right now, actually. And not only do I post them, but I'm gonna start minting them and like giving them out as either free claims for my community or, very cheap, like open edition, to let people into that journey, because it was never possible before. An artist would lock themselves
Exactly.
into, a cottage in the middle of nowhere and do their thing. Whereas I like the feedback. I put out something, I get immediate feedback. That's a very efficient way to work. Does that
Mm-hmm.
work? No. Moving on. And I involve people in that creative process too. So I'm excited for that.
There's so many avenues as you're talking about in which to share. There's you did Moonshot with Nifty Music. There's Gala. There's Sound XYZ. There's going to be Sound. There's going to be so many in terms of like platforms. How do you choose which one to experiment with?
It's a really good question. It's kind of tough. Like when I did it with Nifty Music, by the way, just for the record, Nifty Music is not really a platform. They're more like um I guess like a team. They were more like my team. It's made by Nifty Sax, who is also an OG music NFT artist, saxophone player,
Uh,
um, and Wei Z, who's a dev. So we would just talk strategy together, and then the dev would build a contract. Basically, that's it. So, but it's my own smart contract. I own it. It was on my website. Like, or at least like on their website, but it was linked to me. Like Nifty Music is not really like sound, for example, but it's rather a launch pad, I suppose. Or an incubator for artists. But yeah, it's hard to choose. Right now, I'm in that position because there's a few things I want to do, and I need to choose and I do want to partner with a couple platforms or one in particular, but it's hard. Normally, if people are listening and they're wondering, I would say base rule is whatever a platform can do for you, most likely you can do it yourself.
that's
uh, and that's a hot take. And a lot of people don't like to hear this because you got to get to work, but you can. And the work is worth it because then you own it and you don't have to deal, negotiate, whatever. It's yours. But if you find the right dev, and you don't even have to have a lot of money up front, you maybe split revenues, whatever, you can do pretty much everything you want yourself. And I mostly did everything myself except for a couple sound drops. So, yeah.
amazing. I love that. That's the ethos of Web3, though. That the take control of your own affairs kind of thing. The leveraging the tools so that you can just connect with your fans, connect and output this music and express yourself. And I think that that's what's exciting about just the idea that you own your smart contract. It's amazing. But I get it because you're also the first ordinal music recording. I know I'm going to get the actual actuation way, but the first to put a song onto an ordinal, a Bitcoin ordinal. That process, was it presented to you, or were you like, I hear about ordinals, I want to try this?
Yeah, that's how it happened. I heard about ordinals, and of course, immediately I was like, how do I put a song on it?
Love it.
Immediately, like, open the
Amazing.
door. Thank you. Uh, but I'm not the first one. I have to like make sure
Okay.
I say that. The first one I think, to my knowledge, that is actually like an artist and like who claimed those ordinals is Rare Skrilla,
Okay.
who is like an OG in the crypto space, the Rare Pepe. He's a visual artist too. And he actually inscribed 10 whole songs back in February, a whole album. The
Mm-hmm.
difference between what I did and what he did is that he inscribed MP3s. I inscribed an MP4.
Mm-hmm.
So mine is the first full song with visuals inscribed, which it's kind of a first, and because it's hard to do. Mostly it's just kind of not exactly practical, and we've had to work quite a lot on it to make it happen.
Yeah,
So
in terms of that technical process, what were some of the limitations and how long did that take you from initial, okay, hey Dev, let's talk to, oh my gosh, we got it, it's out.
yeah, maybe, I don't know, 3 weeks, maybe, nah, little more, a month, about a month. When I first heard of them, I think it was in May, like at the end of May. Well, no, I heard of them in February, but I was way too busy. Like I was doing my other collection, Another Life, and then I started traveling, and then they kind of popped up again in
Yeah,
May. They had a little
yeah,
bit of a break, and then in May, like they blew up.
100%.
And so I was like, immediately, how do I do this? And so I started like playing around with different ideas. Like maybe I can fractionalize a song. Maybe I can split a song up in like a few different pieces, playing around with that. Biggest problem is the file size, because anything above 400 kilobytes, not only is it going to cost you a fortune, but also like you have to work, with, actually someone who runs a node and stuff. And, it's pretty complicated. You can't do it yourself. Um, and, uh, and then I spoke to Leonidas, who
Mhm.
is,
Of
you
course.
know who Leonidas, yeah.
OG.
So he's of course very involved in the ordinal space, and I was asking people for advice, and I asked him. I said I want to fractionalize the song. I want to like gamify it, get people to complete the whole song. It was going to cost me a lot, and but I really wanted to do it. And then he actually told me, why don't you just do a one of one? If you really want to, you can totally do a one of one, and that's it. And I was worried I can't get a whole song down to 400 kilobytes with an image, because I also wanted an image.
Yeah.
So I decided to write a song that I knew wasn't gonna lose anything, even if I compressed it.
Hmm.
And the same with the artwork. We managed to make it as simple but meaningful as possible. Um, and yeah, so I did, and the song I happened to write it like a couple days after my 10-year anniversary of my career. So May 26th, my career turned 10
Yeah.
as a professional artist, and so I wrote it about that. I was thinking my 10-year anniversary. It's a big deal for independent artists. 10 years is a long time. The first decade. And so I wrote the song, and I was like, I'm gonna inscribe this, and this is gonna be my own anniversary present for myself. Kind of like a pat on the back, like you did it. And I'm gonna put it on Bitcoin, and I'm gonna get my dad to do the art once again, because May 26, 2013, when my career started, my dad was with me. He played an important part. And then I was put in touch with Rare Satoshi Society, who are Satoshi hunters. So they go out and find rare sats
Hmm.
by panning Bitcoin, basically. Um, and they offered to sponsor me by gifting me an uncommon sat, which means it's the first one mined in each block every 10 minutes. And there's only about 30 to 50,000 in circulation. And they happened to have one that was mined that day that my career first started at that time, also. And so, almost like it was meant to be, very serendipitous.
It
And
was meant to be, and the song proves it. Let's take a quick listen. I need a girl like me. And the things people don't speak.
Guess I'm tired of dreaming. Right from still got love to take to say. Think of my so far away across the ocean land where people might think I've gotten lost and run astray. Anyway, just like to come and meet the sky to see. The moon is still but always free. It's worth it all to me.
So gorgeous. I just don't want to stop it. So good.
Thank you.
But it's this great personal thing, and I think it's so Web3. It's so what I love seeing in this space: personal expression, shared with others, shared with your family, making it special, sharing it within the technology, having like this Easter egg of it being like right on the date and the time that you were conceiving of this career. It's so special, and then you go and make it CC0. Like this is it's just like what led to that decision? Was that something in your mind early on, or did you come to that later after you're like, I want this out there?
Actually, it was again a suggestion from Leonidas. Like, I really want to give credit where credit's due. I, um, so here's the thing: the song is still mine now because it's in my wallet. But when I'll sell it, it'll automatically switch into CC0. So
uh,
this is my idea. This is mine still. Like I own it.
yeah.
I'm not quite ready to sell it yet. It's like it means a lot to me. It
Yeah.
really, really does. Because first decade is important to me. Knowing how much I've struggled in the past, it means a lot. But the moment this goes to somebody else, I relinquish all my rights. And my idea was because this song is so personal, it's not even about anything. It's me. That
Mm.
song represents me as an artist. And I believe that you can own a song, but you cannot own an artist, right? So I wanted to make it possible for the community, the world, to own me. Artists are everybody's, they belong to everyone, right? And so this song that encapsulates me as an artist, all my entire existence, I wanted this to be everybody's. I'm not just myself. I'm not just my own. I'm as an artist, I'm everybody's, and so I wanted the song to be that way as well. Um,
Notion, and it's something that as as another artist who's just like, it's just like when somebody does that, you're like, wow, it's a gift. It's a gift to collaborate with, to play with, perhaps to put into different contexts outside of the original meaning, which I think to me is art, is what it's meant to be, because it's such a powerful start to emotion, to what it means for 10 years, all this great specialness that goes into that particular piece can then be expanded upon by other people.
Yeah, totally. And I hope that, people will use it. They will maybe will do something with the song or even the artwork. I see that little flower. You can put it on any t-shirt, anything you want, and maybe it will help propagate, the message as well of like art is valuable. Like it deserves to be like on a valuable canvas, and maybe we'll bring more people to blockchain, more people to ordinals. Like this is, a decentralized world this way, is really what I advocate for, especially for musicians and artists. And of course, I also wanted to embrace, the Bitcoiners mentality, which is copyright shouldn't exist. Like because it kind of implies the involvement of institutions and regulations of that sort. And as an artist, I've always thought copyright is sacred. Copyright is like you can never touch it. But then in reality, I've never been actually rewarded for my copyright monetarily. The money gets lost in the mix. Like artists barely, especially independent ones, rarely see a lot of money from copyright, right? And so what is even the point? It probably gets lost getting paid, paying those institutions and societies that collect the copyright. And so I wanted to like reimagine that. What if I just question myself and my like conviction in copyright? Maybe no. I don't know. I'll try, see how it feels.
Beautiful. It's such a beautiful notion, and again, I hope that this isn't the last time I speak to you, because I feel that this is very early in on your journey in Web3. And again, follow Violetta on Twitter. You do your concerts every Friday for your community.
Yeah, if you hold any of my NFTs, even just one, you have access to a Zoom concert every week, 4 p.m. On Fridays, 4 p.m. Eastern.
Zoom concerts. And do we have any ability to talk about anything that's coming in the future that you might be dropping? Any other works that might be coming soon?
Yeah, there is actually a lot, but I'm not ready to share any details on anything
Very
really.
Web3 of you. Very Web3. Yes.
There's a few things, yeah, you don't want to say it and then it doesn't happen, but you know, I will have a date pretty soon for everything. However, if people just kind of want to get in on anything, they could grab one of my Another Life NFTs. They're only 0.03 right now. Super easy. They give you access to the Zoom concert. I host spaces every Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, basically every day of the week. Except next week, I'm actually taking a few days off for the first time in 2 years.
Whoa.
So, yeah, not next week. Yeah. Hence why the background.
Well, there you go. That's where you're heading, and
Right.
it's well deserved, because again, like having that run and being so present all the time, sometimes it's taxing, but I think that you're one of those that is balancing it in a very nice way, having intelligent, engaging conversations that are pushing, people's understanding of what this potential is, of why it's different than Web 2. I mean, I've been in on your spaces before, and I've heard you literally just take, somebody who is super hardcore, kind of offensively Web 2, and like really pull them through and say
Oh,
like,
damn.
look, like it's
You were there.
yeah, I was on this one, right? And so I was just like, but
You're that one.
it takes a bravery to do that, in public and spaces, but it's also a conviction, in what you believe in this space, and that came through, and that authenticity of why you're here for this, for the community and for artistry is so special, because you're leading the charge, like I said, in the Twitter, you're a cultural touchstone for music NFTs, and I think everybody, we talked earlier that everybody kind of knows each other in the space, but as this thing grows, I think that you're going to continue to be technologically driven, and to me, just the artistry seems so natural for you, that it's just when you see the opportunity, as you said, you heard Ordinals, you're like, hey, how do I get a song on there? That next thing is going to come, and that next thing is going to come, and I'm excited to follow your journey.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this call. And yeah, again, I hope to see you in my space.
All right, Violetta, we'll see you soon.